Good morning, sports fans all around the world. Welcome to the worst sports podcast out there. This Raven Slayer, Raven Slayer's Hour. As the title persists, we are going to be recapping this week's sports news all around. Some breaking news here from today. Unfortunately, I am by myself today. My dad had to work early this morning, so grind don't stop though. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep grinding, pushing through everything. We got some news coming out. Some news coming out of the NFL this week. Some news coming out of the um, baseball world. Just kind of recapping the month of April for baseball, and then recapping round one of the NBA playoffs. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the baseball world first, and then we'll go from there. So, excuse me. So starting out, I'm going to talk about the standings over in the AL. So I know we're already 9, 10 games, give or take, into the first games of May. But just to kind of go over where everybody stands, Yankees are still currently holding the number one spot with the Red Sox 3 games back. Orioles still out on an island all by themselves at 14-23, going from the best record in the AL East to the worst thus far of the season. Hopefully they'll be able to turn it around, but it begs to argue. Over on the East, over in the Central of the AL, we got the Tigers currently holding that number one spot. With the Guardians 2.5 games back, the Royals as well biting at both of those teams' ankles. Royals currently with 2.5 games back as well. The White Sox, of course, still doing what they're doing and keeping them tanks rolling at 11-28 in the season thus far. Definitely predicting them to have the worst record in all of baseball for the AL. Moving over to the West, Mariners are currently at that number one spot at a 22-15 record. Astros and the Athletics currently only 3 games back, with the Angels currently holding the worst record in the West. They very well may give a run for the both the Angels and the Orioles may give a run for the worst record in the AL this year against the White Sox. So we'll just have to see what happens. Now, switching over to the NL, over with the NL in the East, we got the Mets currently holding that number one spot with the Phillies 2.5 games back currently. Marlins currently, as they always have been, are still the worst teams over in the East. I definitely do favor the Phillies to kind of turn things around and take over that number one spot over the Mets. The Mets are a great team. They definitely are, but who knows? It very well could be the Phillies year this year to wind up getting the title for the NL East. Switching over to the Central, Cubs are currently holding that number one spot barely. Cardinals 2 games back, Brewers 3 games back. I mean, really, everybody's still in contention for the number one spot in the Central, except for the Pirates. The Pirates, unfortunately, they're not good enough. I very well could see later throughout the season, by about midway, so by the All-Star break, definitely things in the Central will be shaken up. Reds probably closer towards a 2 to 3 seed. Cardinals possibly that 1 seed. So huge questions going on with every team throughout the entire MLB. So the Central definitely is still open for anybody to try and make a push. Switching over to the best overall division in all of baseball with the NL West. Dodgers currently holding that number one spot with the Padres 1 game back, Giants 2 games back, and Diamondbacks 6 games back. The Diamondbacks definitely gave the Dodgers a run for their money the last 2 nights. Night prior, so last night they wound up taking it to. They had to score 14 runs just to beat the Diamondbacks. Give me a sec, guys. Sorry, I hate when that happens. Should have adjusted myself before getting on camera. Oh, that's good. That right there is good. Knowing my dad, he always loves to, be funny and sponsor, fake sponsor, but I'm not sponsored by Monster, but they definitely are giving me a good pickup this morning. But yeah, like I was saying, Diamondbacks have definitely seen making a great push. They had to make the Dodgers score 14 runs on them just to win last night. Diamondbacks and Dodgers have another game here tonight. I think if I'm not mistaken, the Diamondbacks are starting. I want to say it's Fott, but let me check. I could be incorrect. It very well could be somebody else, but I think it's Fott tonight. I'm trying to remember. Tonight. No, they're starting Corbin Burns tonight against Dustin May. Eugenio Suarez currently leading the team in home runs, with Perdomo leading in batting average and RBIs. So definitely love to see what the Diamondbacks are doing this year, especially after the season last year. We had a chance to want it making it. We had a chance to make it, but we couldn't make it. But this year definitely is going to be different, especially with all four of the five teams in the West performing as well as they are. As far as worst record in baseball, I know the Rockies currently hold it, and I do believe the Rockies will hold that worst record all year, and could end off with the worst overall record in all of baseball. So that's all I really had as far as baseball. I was going to go over some of the top prospects, but I really didn't have time to take a look. So I think we'll hold off on the prospects until next year, or until next show. So switching over to basketball here, if you give me a brief moment. So let's see. So as far as the basketball series, first round was definitely a doozy. You had the OKC Thunder sweeping the Grizzlies, which was not shocking. You had the Cleveland Cavaliers sweeping the Heat. They were the only two teams to wind up completing an actual sweep. You had the Nuggets and the Clippers go to Game 7, where the Nuggets wound up beating out the Clippers. You had the Timberwolves ensuring that it didn't get to 6 games. They wound up taking down the Lakers in a 4-1 series. The Rockets took Golden State to Game 7. Golden State wound up winning out over the Rockets, moving them into the next round. You had the Pacers taking on the Bucks, where the Pacers wound up taking down the Bucks 4-1. Knicks took on Detroit. Knicks wound up beating out Detroit 4-2. It was unfortunate to see. Detroit definitely was a untested team, but they definitely will be back next year. I know that for a fact. And then you had Boston taking on the Magic, where Boston wound up winning out that series 4-1. Again, not shocking to see. Which moves us thus far into the series as they currently stand. The OKC took on Denver, and thus far, and I do want to double check just in case I'm incorrect from what these are showing me here. So New York is currently leading Boston 2-0 in their series currently. I would love to see the Knicks take down Boston, because a 3 seed taking down a 2 seed would definitely be something to watch for. As far as the number 1 versus the number 4 seed, the Pacers and the Cavs. The Cavs took a game against the Pacers. That Pacers are currently up 2-1 in that series. I definitely do see that the Cavs are going to make that a series. They're going to win the next game against the Pacers, getting it to a 2-2 tie. Nuggets took down the Thunder in overtime, making their series 2-1. And currently the Timberwolves are tied with the Golden State 1 game apiece. I definitely do see I do see the Timberwolves want to taking down the Warriors overall in the series, especially with the unfortunate news about Steph Curry's injury. The injury and I just saw it the other day. Steph Curry is currently out with a grade 1 hamstring injury, and unfortunately there is no timetable on his return. So I definitely do see the Timberwolves want to winning out that series, especially with Curry's injury ultimately. But yeah, other than that, I mean, that's all the news as far as kind of rounding up the basketball news and the baseball news. So we'll go ahead and get into the football news, because there's definitely been a lot of news coming out of the NFL just recently, actually. So first off, Justin Tucker with the Ravens got the axe. He got cut, finally. He got cut because of from what Baltimore is saying, he didn't get cut because of the allegations against him. But you sit there and think, okay, you definitely are cutting him because of the allegations. Like, come on. So a couple questions coming up for Baltimore. Number one, who's going to be their new kicker this next year? They just wound up getting rid of the guy who was cemented to be their starting kicker for the longest of time. Definitely looking to bringing in a couple of guys just to kind of try them out, see how they work out. But it's going to be tough replacing one of the better kickers in the NFL. But that also brings up the next question. If the allegations are proven to be true, is Justin Tucker ever gonna see the field of play again? I'm pretty sure every fan knows this. And unfortunately, if he can play, he can play. Like, if he can perform well for teams, then they'll get him anyway. Especially Cleveland. He'll be a Cleveland Brown by next season. I guarantee it. But yeah, Justin Tucker, I don't think he should ever deserve to play. If the allegations are proven, like if they are proven that he did this, all these allegations are saying, yes, he did this, here's the proof, he doesn't deserve to be in the NFL ever again. That's just my personal opinion. Doing something like that, doing something unspeakable to a woman should never be in the NFL. Should never be anywhere close, not even discussed to be in the NFL. So that brings us past Justin Tucker over to the Pickens trade. The Pickens wound up getting traded to the Cowboys. Steelers wound up getting the Cowboys 2026 third and a 2027 seventh. They definitely stole him away from the Steelers, but I mean, really, with the Steelers, you got to get rid of him. He's a head case. George Pickens is one of the biggest head cases in the entire NFL right now. Reminds me far too much of Antonio Brown. He wound up going into the Antonio Brown arc a lot sooner than I thought he would. So it's sad to see. The real question here that also comes up: who's going to be the Steelers' new number 2? They were looking into Robert Woods. They've been looking into some other wide receivers that are ultimately tied to Aaron Rodgers. If they do wind up signing some other receivers, you're almost fully guaranteed that he's coming to Pittsburgh. And then, of course, where does Pickens ultimately fit? Where does he ultimately fit in Dallas? Is he going to slide into that number 2 receiver position? Are you going to put him in the slot? Or are you just going to have him down as like a rotational receiver? what I see happening, they have him start out with a number two with the slot receiver position. If he doesn't do well in the slot receiver position, possibly look at getting him into possibly getting him into the number two spot, the number two receiver spot. And worst case, if he doesn't really work, well, no, sorry, my mistake. Start him out number two. If he doesn't do well in number two, put him in at slot. If he doesn't work out at slot, have him a rotational receiver. Have him as your number 4 and number 5 receiver on that roster. So other than that, Panthers wound up releasing Jadeveon Clowney just a couple days ago. Couple things for him to consider. Some possible landing spots. Couple teams, they want to resolving their issues for the edge this offseason with the draft. Definitely bring him in for a veteran piece to your team, a guy who can go and help teach the young guys on how to perform in the NFL and teach them about how to perform on certain offenses. But the other question begs. I mean, is he possibly going to retire? Jadeveon Clowney definitely is older. He's not getting any younger. He even with the Panthers, he did not perform well at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if within a couple days here we get notification about a retirement from him. The Jags as well wound up releasing Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is a hell of a receiver. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out with Jacksonville. The Vikings wound up extending Andrew Van Ginkel to a 1-year, $23 million contract. Well-deserved contract for the young man. Hopefully, after a couple years, hopefully after a little while longer, a little bit more time to develop, he can get get his long-term contract that he well deserves. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens out there in Minnesota. George Kittle wound up getting himself a contract extension. He got a 4-year, $76.4 million extension. So, of course, congratulations to him. George Kittle definitely is the best tight end for the Niners for the longest of freaking time. The real concern, of course, now that you gave him all that money, how much more are you going to have to free up as well to worry about your star quarterback with Purdy? Because you just gave all that money to your tight end now. You just gave a whole bunch of money to him. Now your quarterback's going to still want to have that huge contract that he's demanding. The real question is, are they going to be able to go and pay him what he deserves? Browns want to be signing Deontay Johnson. Again, Deontay Johnson's a huge, a hell of a player. Hopefully, he's able to fit with the Browns, especially with their quarterback situation. 4 different quarterbacks, each of them ass, especially Shedeur Sanders. So we'll have to see what happens. Now, I know he hasn't played a single down in the NFL yet, so it's not Deontay, but Shedeur Sanders. But it begs to question: Will he be the number 1 overall quarterback? Will he be your starting quarterback day one? Will you still try and rely on Deshaun Watson? Will you still try and rely on your quarterback you drafted earlier with I think it was Gilbert, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but you have to kind of make that decision as the season comes up. But yeah, and we'll have to see what happens. Like mentioned, Steelers got Robert Woods to a 1-year, $2 million contract. He very well could slot in at your number 2, or even that slot receiver position. I definitely see him more as a number 2. So we'll have to see what happens there in Pittsburgh as far as how they build their roster, where they put him at, whether they put him at slot, whether they put him at number 2. We'll just have to see what happens there as well. Panthers wound up signing Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow took that year off of football just to kind of focus on his health. Luckily, he was healthy enough to announce his unretirement and coming out of retirement to play. And I apologize, completely forgot there is one more piece of news coming out of the MLB. The Pirates, trying to focus on winning and winning now, fired their manager Derek Shelton. Um, that's again, it was bound to happen, whether it be mid-season at the All-Star break, whether it be this early in the season, or whether it be at the end of the season. It was almost certain going to happen to Derek Shelton. I definitely hope he finds, success elsewhere. But we'll have to see what happens as far as who their new manager is going to be, and will his firing help out with getting the Pirates back to their winning ways. And that brings us back to the NFL with one last piece of the NFL news from the NFL, just announced earlier today. And I woke up to the news. I was shocked. I saw it on my phone. I said, "Wow, how in the world is he making this decision?" But Derek Carr unfortunately did announce his retirement earlier today. He did have some concerns as far as health. Last I saw, as far as the reports, because he had some soreness in his arm. Let me double check the story here. Give me a sec. Ba-ba-bum. Yeah, shoulder injury. He had a injury to a labral tear and degenerative rotator cuff damage to his right throwing shoulder. They discovered it late March. So Derek Carr, in order to focus more on his health and more on his family, decided to go ahead and hang up the cleats. Well deserves it. I mean, honestly, more than anything, I mean, it's great to see him make that decision, not just for his own health, but for his family. Um, a lot of people don't, think about it. But definitely your family needs you around more rather than, having you be out there playing. So it's definitely a rough personal decision he had to make as far as his retirement. So I know this one was kind of shorter as far as all the news that came out. Now I know I do kind of talk about it here and again every now and then. But as everybody knows through this channel, through my Twitch and through my YouTube channel, that I love trading cards. Trading cards are still one of my passions to this day. Biggest addiction to this day. So I want to go ahead and show off a few that I had just recently gotten that were really freaking cool. So we got ourselves a hollow Ludwig Gurriel Jr. with a pink outline and hollow. Throwback Jackie Robinson. A Stars of the MLB Bryce Harper. Stars of the MLB Mikael Trout. A Grapefruit League Rafael Devers. That's not coming in very clear. There we go. Rafael Devers. Stars of the MLB Corbin Carroll. A hollow Carlos Correa. That's not able to focus. I apologize. Stars of the MLB Dylan Cruz. Stars of the MLB Shohei Ohtani. Stars of the MLB Francisco Lindor. A 2024 All Tops team in Jarren Duran. A Ernie Clemens hollow. A Mookie Betts star of the MLB. And then, of course, the gold-bordered, numbered Lamont Wade Jr. he is numbered at 140 out of 2025, if you can kind of tell that. Maybe. Okay, yeah, it kind of comes out. But trust me, it's number 140, numbered 140 out of 2025. And I apologize, you had to see my nasty, crusty thumb. Jazz Chisholm Jr. throwback card here. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and skip the rest because I don't want y'all to keep looking at my crusty thumbs. These are. My thumbs ain't the best, I'll tell you that much for certain. And I'll just show off one more. Call to the Hall, Roberto Clemente. Let me just look through the rest just in case there's something else that might be cool to show. I might as well show this one off too. Got me a Anthony Edwards. Yeah, it's not going to show up really all that well. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of some of the cards I got here most recently. Like I said, it's definitely one of my passions. Something that I still love to collect even to this day. And something I definitely hope to pass on to my nephew. Something I have been doing, kind of behind the scenes. I've been collecting a whole bunch of trading cards for my nephew. My nephew is almost 4 months old. My older sister confirmed and demanded that the only team he's allowed to be a fan of is Arizona. So I've been getting a shit ton of Diamondbacks cards and shit ton of Diamondbacks, shit ton of Cardinals, shit ton of Suns cards. So I've been sitting here collecting just for him because I know, one of the things that I know myself and my dad are going to be huge on doing for him is teaching him about collecting, teaching him about sports, definitely sports history. And that's also one of the things I want to do through this channel as well. Because I know one thing I'm going to do when he's old enough, I'm going to show him this channel. Hopefully he'll be able to show it to his friends, pass that on, and be able to, hopefully be able to grow this channel. So that brings us to the end. I know it's about a half hour. So I do want to thank everybody who came out to watch, to show their support. But yeah, I appreciate everybody. Dude,